John Kerry is on his first trip abroad as Secretary of State. But will anybody take this guy seriously when he says stuff like this?
We as a nation must have the foresight and the courage to make the investments necessary to safeguard the most sacred trust we keep for our children and our grandchildren, and that is an environment not ravaged by rising seas, deadly superstorms, devastating droughts, and the other hallmarks of a dramatically changing climate.
Welcome back to Opinion Journal. I'm Mary Kissel. That's our now Secretary of State, John Kerry, in a speech he gave in recent days outlining his priorities for the office at the University of Virginia. Competitive Enterprise Institute Chairman Fred Smith is here. Fred, climate change alarmism. Here we go again. Why is this a priority for Mr. Kerry, given we've got Iran with nukes, China picking fights in the South China Sea? Why do we care?
Poverty, wars around the world, and he picks an illusory dilemma that might affect us 100 years from now. You would think you ought to focus on today, not centuries in the future. He is, unfortunately, a greenie, has been it for a long time. This is his hope of what? I don't know. You know, there's really issues in the environment he could have focused on. The fact that the Europeans and too many American environmentalists have suppressed genetically modified food production around the world. Alleviating hunger in Africa might be alleviating some of the horrors we see in Africa. We've tried with the Kyoto Accord before. The next one is in 2015. Is he going to spend the next 2-3 years focusing on this quixotic attempt to force the world into a non-sustainable energy future? Not a good idea.
Well, you know, there is something that he could do today about climate change, because the State Department has to approve the Keystone XL pipeline. They've been sitting on it for years. They've done like double the number of normal studies.
Right.
So can we really take him seriously that he cares about climate change if they don't approve this?
Well, he hasn't said yet he's opposed to it, but one can infer. Not only that, he could take that idea of what we've achieved in horizontal drilling and fracking, eliminating the whole fear that we were going to run out of something, the whole peak oil thing, and take it to Europe, where they're struggling with this kind of question. Say it's good for America, it's good for Europe. God knows we don't want Europe to be dependent on Middle Eastern oil and so on. He could do a lot of things that could basically do it. He could say, look guys, I know renewable energy sounded like a good idea. Spain's failed, Germany's failed, the UK's failed. Maybe you could do it with fracking and wait a while till we could invent batteries that didn't blow up.
Is this just of a piece of the Obama administration's larger agenda, which doesn't focus so much on job creation as it does on placating some really loud parts of the left that actually many Democrats in America don't identify with, this kind of far left environmental movement? Is Kerry alone in this cabinet?
Well, I don't know. I don't think Lou's going to push this particular thing. He does want some money to be taxed away for. It's not alone. I mean, you almost certainly will bet the Interior Secretary, the new EPA administrator, those guys are every bit as greeny and flaky as he is. It is surprising, though, for a State Department person, because he is supposed to be thinking about stabilizing the world's economy, stabilizing conditions so we have less need for war and so forth. He's supposed to be the peace equivalent to the military. It looks like you go around and make energy less available. You make countries run after will-o'-the-wisp ideas rather than focus on what they can do to help their economic growth through all of the issues that we've talked about, energy, but also agricultural policy. He also, remember, will be overseeing the trade debate between the U.S. and the EU. The EU has all kinds of kooky environmental rules, genetically modified food, trying to make airplanes run off of, rubber bands, I don't know, but something silly. And all of those things, is he going to represent the EU greenie position in the U.S. trade negotiations, or is he going to represent the U.S. business and agricultural position, saying, guys, look, let's have trade be trade, environmental policy handled elsewhere?
I don't know, Fred, but I know if I were sitting in Tehran or in Beijing, I'd be cheering for this guy because it's great news for them, but I don't know if it's great news for American security. Competitive Enterprise Institute Chairman Fred Smith, thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, Mary. A lot of fun. You take care.
With us.